Hey everyone, I hope you're having a good day, evening, or night, and I have 4 outings to go through in this video, so let's get into it. On June 1st, me and my friend would head out to the usual spot, hoping to see anything, and after around 20 minutes, an intermodal would show up with BNS of 5676, the only H3 AC44. We would then head home because of how miserable it was getting outside. The next day on the 2nd, we would head out to the intermodal and end up seeing a few trains from the bridge on the transcon. We would then head home after getting a few pictures of the SD40 duo from the opposite side of the bridge. However, that wouldn't be the last train I would see for the day. Later that evening, me and my mom were running errands around Gardner, and while going over the transcon, we would see a train stop waiting to get into the intermodal, and my mom offered to go down to the spot to see if it was about to leave. When we got down by the tracks, I noticed that one of the crew members was standing right by the engine, so I figured it was going to be a while. So I started walking back to the car. Then I heard rumbling, so I rushed back and started recording. It was a nice surprise in the form of a -9 leading a manifest. We would then leave to continue running errands, and wouldn't see any trains for the rest of the day. The next day, on the evening of the 3rd, my friend called me asking if I wanted to go out to the intermodal, so I decided why not. We would arrive at the intermodal and be met with the usual SD40 duo, an intermodal with an ET44 leading and an AC44 second, and a random intermodal on the transcon, throttling up with only GVOs on the front. After a little while, the ET44 and AC44 would pull up a few feet, and an intermodal would pass through on the transcon with an H1-9 trailing second. We would start packing up to leave before we would notice the headlights of something pulling into the intermodal. It would end up taking forever for it to get to us because it kept on stopping and going. But it would eventually get to us right as we started leaving, but it was just a GVO slop. Three days later on the 6th, I had my eyes on CN 3015, which was a face-out DPU on a BNS of CN transfer, so I called my friend and we headed out trackside. We'd get to the bridge over the transcon and be met with a -9 DPU on an intermodal. We would get down to the spot, and almost instantly, a manifest would show up with a Jivo duo. "10 minutes after that train passed by, I got notified that an H1-9 had just passed through Olathe, heading for us. We would then start to hear a weird horn of an eastbound at the wetlands. We would then see the headlights of the intermodal with the H1. Thankfully, the H1 would make it to us first, right as we saw the eastbound rounding the curve with an NS trio. The next train to pass by would be a greener with a -9 second. The signals would then go dark for around 30 minutes. Then the signals would then go dark for around 30 minutes before turning on again for a manifest with a 6-unit power move with a fake bonnet third. Soon after that, we would hear the horn of an eastbound and see the lights of a westbound that sure did take its sweet time to get to us, but the same thing would end up happening again. We would leave after that, having waited 2 hours with no signs of it coming. It would end up making it to Gardner around 3 hours later.